You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
On today's Friday review, I've got a bunch of new research to share with you. One pressing question that we've been getting on the Cabral Concept house calls, the weekend Cabral house calls, and then kind of a review of some of my favorite things from the week that I absolutely do want to make sure that you are aware of and really have the research and a little bit more of the data behind that when making your own kind of healthy lifestyle purchasing decisions. But the very first thing I want to get started, even before, so I've got this great research that I want to share with you today. Easily my favorite group of foods in the entire world. It's essentially one little group of foods, a subset that we're going to get to. But before we get to that, this question's come up quite a bit. It comes up literally every single time I do a new private wellness client consultation. It comes up with family and friends. And the reason why I'm making like maybe a little bit of a bigger deal about it right now is that we're looking to hire another doctor for our wellness practice because we are quite busy, and I'm getting to speak with even more doctors than I have in the past, meaning that I have a lot of great colleagues that are MDs, DOs, and licensed medical doctors. And so I get to share just case studies, and I get to share a lot of what I'm doing from a natural perspective with them, a functional medicine perspective, and do my best to kind of see how they might be able to integrate some of this work into their own practice. But these interviews that I'm doing right now really have been the most telling. Here's the thing right now. There's a lot of great doctors out there, MDs, DOs, who are practicing a health insurance-based model, which I don't practice. And what they're forced to do within this model is see a new person every 15 minutes. So think about that. They have to see about 20 people a day or so. And during the time that they're with you or with their patients, they have to be doing and filling out these things called electronic medical records. And I know there's a lot of MDs listening right now on the podcast. And I want you to know that I totally understand the position you're in. And it's not easy because after you see people, you still need to write in the diagnosis, the specific codes, how to bill it through health insurance, look through your dictated notes, and then answer emails or do all these other records at night that you're not even being essentially paid for during part of your work. And being an MD as a primary care physician or a DO is a hard job. And I know a lot of people right now, they understand that MDs and DOs from a licensed perspective are really just treating the symptom with pharmaceutical drugs. And 9 out of 10 of those times, at least, could be looked at from a diet, exercise, lifestyle, detoxification, stress reduction, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they're not able to implement that when their practice, wherever they're at, or hospital, is asking them to see a new person every 15 minutes. I mean, think about that. What type of patient care can you really give when you have just minutes to listen to someone? You can't talk about nutrition. You can't talk about sample meal plans. You can't talk about elimination diets. It just doesn't happen. And that's where the frustration is coming from. And that's why I'm getting so many applicants for a new functional medicine doctor in our practice. But really, I just wanted to make that known that I don't think that we should be blaming medical doctors, blaming DOs for the way that in which they practice medicine, and they're not telling us about nutritional supplements that are obviously and clearly proven by research. Like, again, thousands of new studies per day, not hundreds, but thousands all over the world. And why they don't share that is they don't have any time. That's the bottom line. MDs, DOs who are PCPs, health insurance-based model, which means not a cash practice, so they don't get to practice how they would like to, are not able to implement what I would consider healthcare. What they're able to implement is sick care. That means they can help you if you are in a disease state by masking some of those symptoms using pharmaceutical drugs, whether it be for an autoimmune issue, they'll shut down your immune system. Whether it's for blood pressure, they'll put you on a beta blocker or calcium potassium channel or whatever it might be. For cholesterol, they'll put you on a statin. You have acid reflux, they'll put you on an acid blocker, a PPI, something like that. Again, all we're doing is masking that symptom. But again, they don't have the time, nor were they educated in medical school on any of these things. There was no nutrition. There was no nutritional supplements. There was no lifestyle. It's about a pathophysiological model of looking at not even how you got there, but really, okay, here's the symptoms. Here's the drugs that we know that block those symptoms. That's basically plain and simple. I'm going to keep it at that because I know I could go on and on about this, but I really don't believe that most MDs, PCPs want to be practicing how they're practicing. And the other thing is, I don't think that it's really they're the ones to blame. I think it's the medical system. I think of how it's taught in medical school. And I hate to say it, but a little bit of, even though I love naturopathic medical school like Bridgeport, Southwest, Bastyr, all of these great schools, and there's a couple great ones in Canada as well, they're kind of going towards that insurance-based model, and it's not something that I want to see. It's just not. Okay, I'm going to keep it at that for today. Again, what I say is like, don't shoot the messenger. If you go to your PCP, MDDO, that's a health insurance-based model, just expect that level of care for the most part, because it's hard to do anything else otherwise on their part. Okay, moving on. So now I've kind of led in today with like, there's just, before we get to just some of my favorites, there's this one food group that really is being, I wouldn't say demonized, but it's being excluded with a lot of these low carb or keto-based diets. And I'll tell you right now, it's a mistake. And it's a huge mistake. And the reason is this, and the one food group that I'm about to share with you is berries. There is almost no other food group besides some of our greens that is better well-studied, that has better implications for living a longer, healthier, cancer-free life. And I want to share with some of that right now. Because if you're not including 1 cup of berries, now you might be on my first 3-week elimination plan or something like that, and it might not be included. Okay, I understand that. That's 21 days. It's a minuscule amount of time. Or you're on the Dr. Well detox, same thing. But what we need is at least 1 cup of a brightly colored, antioxidant-rich berries, such as blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, cherries, cranberries, strawberries, if I didn't name that one. And why? Well, the things that give them that bright color, those things are called anthocyanins. Those things literally, I'm just going to give you kind of like quick snapshots of the research and just let you know the power behind having at least 1 to 2 servings per day. I recommend 2 servings per day. I recommend 2 cups of berries per day. Now, they don't have to both be in your shake in the morning. One could be 1 cup in your shake in the morning if you'd like, and then 1 cup mid-afternoon. I've been doing that for years. I honestly believe it's part of the healing process, is giving your body the nutrition that it needs. So what I want to just show you is that all of these were done with about 1 to 2 servings per day of the actual berry itself, or in the majority of cases, they didn't have fresh berries to give people because those are too hard to keep fresh. So what they actually gave them were the dried powder. So again, like you can get this from good dried powder as well, the berries. And that's why I personally opted for, in mine, the daily fruit and vegetable blend. And again, this isn't me saying that you need to do daily fruit and vegetable blend. This is me saying you need to do berries every day, ideally. But I wanted to put some of those berries in there. I did feel it was important to get some lycopene, to get some other antioxidants from things that you might not be having on a daily basis. So one of those first studies was on the brain with Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, really with Alzheimer's, dementia, and memory. And what they did was the group that got 1 cup of blueberries every single day versus the placebo. Now, we all know that the placebo can also get benefit as well. But this study right now, it was done at Tufts School for, I believe it was anti-aging. Tufts Research, which is right down the street for me. I apologize about the sirens in the background. It is sometimes interesting being in downtown Boston. But it's called the Gene Mayer USDA Human Nutrition Research Center on Aging at Tufts University. And again, I've been studying their work for quite some time, especially since when I got out of school, I originally applied to Tufts for grad school and just ended up being deferred because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, essentially. But it's an amazing school, and I really do think that is a great school for people studying nutrition as well. So here's the thing. They found a 20% improvement in memory scores compared to the placebo. which is pretty remarkable. I mean, that's just for memory base. Okay, so what about for cardiovascular? Cardiovascular, in terms of blood pressure, a 5.1% drop in diastolic blood pressure readings. That's remarkable because keep in mind, unlike systolic, which is the top number on your blood pressure, the diastolic one doesn't have as much movement. So 5.1 reduction is the difference between literally someone coming in at a 90 and someone dropping down to an 85, which is acceptable. And the other thing is, there was a 6.3% reduction in heart attack and stroke across the board. Pretty remarkable. What about CRP? Well, those eating cranberries, or just even a cranberry powder, saw a reduction in their overall inflammation and inflammation in the cardiovascular system, as well as a lowering of triglycerides. Remarkable as well. And then in the enormous study from over 93,000 women over 18 years, showed that 1 or more servings is actually 3 or more servings of blueberries and strawberries per week. So again, that's not even one a day, was a 34% lower risk for heart attack compared with women who ate them less than 3 times a week. So really, all you need to do is eat them every other day, and you can get a 30% risk reduction rate in heart attacks. I mean, it's remarkable. You do that with a little bit of anti-inflammatory or Mediterranean-based diet where you're getting some fish in there, some wild salmon, some sardines, or you're doing a fish oil-based product. I mean, remarkable for the cardiovascular system. Okay, just a couple more. What about prostate health? So it showed a reduction in cancers from the bladder to brain to breast to colon, esophageal, oral, prostate, and stomach cancer. And that is with at least 1 serving of berries per day. Okay, what about oral cancer? A reduction of 21% across the board. How about colon cancer? Okay, those who ate about 2 servings per day, and this was again used with the powder, so you can use the powder. It led to a blockage of blood flow to tumors, and it actually created something called apoptosis within the cancer cells themselves, so the programmed cell death for cancer cells, and it stopped cancer cells from dividing and growing, which is called proliferation. Absolutely remarkable. This came from 5 or more servings of essentially berries per week. So what do you need to do? Well, you really, I mean, what I've been saying all along, like there's efficacy to this. The efficacy with living a long, healthy life is not loading up on bacon or butter. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having a little bit of butter every once in a while. I have no problem with that. But butter is not an anti-cancer food group. Berries are. Vegetables are. I have no idea when bacon and butter became an anti-cancer group, but it's not. If you want to say keto works for specific types of tumor-based growth, I completely agree. But what if we try not to get cancer in the first place? I mean, I think that's like a novel concept, right? Like actually working to stay healthy rather than doing the things that may help tumor growth by reducing the glucose uptake to cancer cells when you actually get it. I would much rather do my best to stay healthy now, and if I ever got cancer, deal with it then. And plus, berries are delicious. So my bottom line is try to get 1 to 2 cups of berries per day. If not, use something like the Daily Nutritional Support Powder, which is a rainbow powder, which means it has greens and fruits and vegetables, all those great things in it, or whatever you feel is most appropriate. Again, do what you feel is best, but get 1 to 2 servings of a cup of berries per day. I'm telling you, your whole body will feel energized as well. It's a huge thing. The Daily Nutritional Support Smoothie in the morning, there's nothing that beats that, hands down. I've been saying the same thing for 6+ years, and it's not going to change. It's really not. Okay, so now what next? I gave everyone this week, and I just really quick for these next couple things, kind of like rapid fire, the 1-day reset diet. If you didn't download that yet, simply go to stevencabral.com/523. That is literally a free 7-page guide. It's a nutrition plan. What to do if you had a cheat weekend, not just a cheat meal, we'll say, or you're feeling inflamed. You're feeling like really run down. You have brain fog. Your joints hurt. Everything's just a mess. Instead of just doing a 1-day intermittent fast, I have a faster, easier way than just doing the 7-day detox. Like maybe you're just not ready to commit to the 7-day, 14-day, or 21-day detox. That's okay. What about doing a 1-day reset? Now, again, you don't get the same potency as power as the 7-day detox. I'm not going to say that. But I will say is you get a tremendous amount of benefit. If you're trying to lose weight, you'll see yourself drop a couple of those inflammatory-based pounds of toxic water weight. And if you're just feeling like joint pain, all stiffness and brain fog, then this will help you reduce that as well. Simply go to StephenCabral.com/523. We'll link it up in today's show notes as well. So just go to StephenCabral.com/525. And then one other thing I should say while I'm on this topic as well, we have a brand new way to search podcasts. It took quite some time, but our web designer literally took 525 episodes, turned them into a new type of category. And now when you go to StephenCabral.com/podcast, you can actually search keywords. So you could type in rebounder and you would find things on like the lymphatic system. You could type in sauna and you'll see all my previous podcasts just on sauna. If you want to learn about what to do if you have a UTI, you would type in UTI. So I think that that's going to be a benefit to a lot of people who are looking for answers and that I might have talked about over the past 525 episodes. So check that out. Simply go to StephenCabral.com, type in your keyword and see what pops up. And what else? Last two options. One, I mean, really, if you didn't check out yesterday's podcast on 19 minutes of this reduces all causes of death by 42%, you have to check that out. That is literally one of those health things, just like I talked about today with berries, that is a life changer in terms of how do we live longer? How do we stay healthy? Check that out. And not to give it all away, but it is on using a sauna. And I just tell you how many times per week you need to use it, how many minutes. Check that out. That's episode 524. But one sauna that I just want to bring to your attention that is literally the one I'm using right now. So we have this beautiful $8,000 sauna in our Boston clinic. But I know that most people aren't going to run out and buy a top-of-the-line commercial sauna for their home. But what you can do, literally, that can help you to reduce all-cause mortality by 42%, to reduce sudden cardiac death, meaning heart-based issues, by up to 63%, is you can get an infrared sauna, okay? The one that I'm recommending right now is a no EMF one by Therasage, and I'm going to link it up in the show notes. That means you're not getting the electro smog from the EMFs, from it being like most saunas. It plugs into a regular outlet in your home. That's how easy it is. And it pops up like a tent. But unlike most of the tent options, this one right here is full spectrum. That means you're getting the not just far infrared, but you're getting near and mid infrared, which have their own detoxifying fat oxidation as well as a pain relief as well. Then that's really particularly helpful with that mid infrared, which is very, very rare to get unless you're spending it on like the $8,000 saunas. So this one, yes, it's a couple $100. Yes, it is. There's no doubt about that. But if you look at it, it's like, well, I'm going to use this for the next however many years. Let's say it lasts you 10 years. It comes out to be like $70 a year. And I don't even know what that is per month. We'll say it's like $6 per month. Or if you're going to use it, it's a worthwhile investment. I really believe that. That's why I bought it myself. That's why I'm using this one for home use as well. Because once I saw this all-cause mortality drop, I said to myself, I need to be using this myself 4 times a week. No doubt about it. Okay. And the last one is just letting you know that all this month is we're giving away one of our favorite tools that we always use in our personal training studios. So we have 2 of them in Boston, and that is the Myoball. It's one of the number one things you can loosen up a tight back, tight hips, tight glutes, tight IT band, and it really helps to relieve a lot of sciatic nerve pain, as well as, again, the tight hips, the tight back, that all that tension in there that we all get from sitting for the majority of the day. And again, that is absolutely free with any qualifying order this month at StephenCabral.com/store. That's all I have to do to check that out. I'm going to link up everything in today's show notes: the food, the berries, the powder, the free 7-day. Again, like this is not a 7-day. This is the 1-day reset, completely free. I wanted you to have it. Use whatever you would like in terms of the all-in-one powder that I talk about. That is always your choice. I'm going to link up my favorite sauna at this point. And you already know about the Search in the Podcast and the Myoball. A lot of great things this week. Exciting podcast, at least it was for me. And hope you're enjoying them, enjoying all the podcasts. Always let me know topics that you want to hear about. You can just write in, would love to hear more about, and you can do that at StephenCabral.com/ask Cabral. That's on every podcast show notes page as well. And the last thing I'll say is this, is don't miss out on the weekend house calls. They are literally me answering at least 6 questions per day on our community's questions that I'm guaranteeing, if it's not for you, it's for someone else that you care about in your life. They could use that information. Thank you once again for everyone tuning into the Cabral Concept. I appreciate each and every one of your listens. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Did you know that the body really only becomes sick or imbalanced in only 2 ways? Over time, you become deficient in vital nutrients, and you also accumulate toxins internally and from the environment. As those nutrients diminish and you increase your total toxic load, your body then begins to show the first signs of dis-ease. It's actually quite predictable, and the good news is that if we know how you began to fill up that proverbial rain barrel, we also know how to empty it to begin the healing process. I was fortunate enough to learn this ancient healing process from my mentor after suffering from debilitating diseases for close to a decade. It was only when I began to implement these techniques did I finally overcome my illnesses and go on to live a life of energy and vitality that I now enjoy. I'd like to share with you now what I discovered after traveling all over the world and how to combine the best of ancient healing wisdom with state-of-the-art science. Allow me to teach you exactly how I've been able to help over 250,000 people to empty their rain barrel and begin to transform their body and lives into what they've always hoped they could be. To get your copy of the international bestseller, The Rain Barrel Effect, simply go to stephencabral.com/rainbarrel.